Thank you for joining us here on the HSS podcast with me, Lenias Hwenda, where we talk to leaders and change makers who are transforming healthcare in Africa. This is the Titans of Industry podcast series, in which we talk to the leaders who are changing Africa's pharmaceutical manufacturing landscape. The Titans are developing innovative products and shaping the pharmaceutical manufacturing ecosystem to build an industry with products that are suitable for the African context and at sufficient scale to meet the needs of the continent. The African continent has struggled to get access to vaccines for its 1.3 billion people during this pandemic. The Economic Intelligence Unit is projecting that only 5 out of 54 countries on the continent are likely to achieve mass COVID-19 vaccination before the end of 2023. Most countries on the continent have only managed to fully vaccinate between 3 to 4% of their entire national populations. We could, of course, demand accountability from all the countries that are holding vaccines and making it impossible for COVAX, the global vaccine sharing mechanism, to buy vaccines. However, on the Titans of Industry podcast, we have chosen to have forward-looking conversations about how we are fixing this situation going forward. The Regional Director for WHO Africa, Dr. Tshidi Moeti, has warned of yet another looming obstacle to mass COVID-19 vaccination on the African continent. A shortage of syringes, which is expected to worsen just when African countries are beginning to get access to vaccines in 2022. The WHO Africa office has reported that South Africa, Rwanda, and Kenya have already reported delays in receiving supplies of syringes due to this problem. Syringe shortages will impact other disease areas that require injectables. Insulin injections for managing type 1 diabetes is a good example. Globally, diabetes is one of the fastest growing chronic diseases. The International Diabetes Federation estimates that 19 million adults are living with diabetes on the African continent. And this figure is expected to reach 47 million by 2045. An estimated 60% of adults with diabetes are undiagnosed. But those who are diagnosed and require insulin will be affected by the shortage of syringes. The cost of syringes alone is usually enough to be a major hurdle to people living with diabetes accessing insulin treatment. But imagine if we didn't need needles and syringes to inject the COVID-19 vaccine or to take insulin, and instead we could just pop a pill without needing supervision by a qualified health professional. That would solve so many challenges, including the need for cold chain transportation and storage of vaccines and insulins. Our next guest on the HSS podcast has developed a COVID-19 vaccine pill that was recently granted regulatory approval by SAHPRA, the South African regulator, to initiate phase 1 clinical trials in South Africa, with phase 2 and phase 3 clinical trials being conducted concurrently in other countries like Israel. They have also developed an insulin pill that is already in the late stages of clinical trials. So tune in to hear how Oromed's technology could help African countries to address some of the challenges that are facing us today.